Tony D and little Joan in the background, and this is a screenwriter's take on Good Boy, the horror movie from the point of view of a dog. Yeah, smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Thanks for checking out the Pineys, books 1 through 18, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. And don't forget, book 19. Oh man, we got about a week. It's gonna be close. It's gonna be close. Anyhow, let's review this movie. As always, I'll do the non-spoiler review, and then I'll do the spoiler review. So the non-spoiler review is this. I'm not giving anything away by telling you the movie itself is only 74 minutes long. So it's very short for a movie, for a horror movie, but it's very unique, I think, in the annals of movie history because it is a horror movie from the point of view of the dog. And that, to me, makes it very interesting. So there are some very interesting scenes in this. It also feels like a very different movie experience. Now, when I watch a horror movie, typically I'm not scared. Typically I'm not worried for the people in the movie because I realize they're actors and I just can't, a lot of times I can't really put myself in their position because a lot of horror movies are very stupid. However, in this movie, Good Boy, since Indy, the dog, is the main character and you follow him a lot and he is very expressive, I was worried throughout the entire movie about the dog. The whole movie, I'm like, if they hurt this dog, I'm going to smash the TV. I mean, I was like, please, dog, survive this. And I was just rooting for him. He's such a good boy. I was just rooting for him the whole time. I mean, yeah, you just can't. I mean, you have to be some sort of monster to root against the dog. You're a monster if you've rooted against the dog. So the whole movie, I'm like, I hope this dog is okay. And it's kind of a different experience. Because it wasn't so much I was caught up in the plot. I was just I was in a constant state of worry for this dog. So, would I recommend the movie? Yeah, I think I would. It's very different. And it's short too. It had some interesting moments. Some sad and scary moments. And the ending is, well, I can't really tell you without giving some of it away. It's both good and bad. It's both good and bad, I think. And I can't really get into it until I get into the spoiler review, but I think most people would like this movie. I do. And they never show really the humans too much, except for one. One of the humans is shown, and that's the grandfather who's already passed on when the movie starts. So you see him in flashbacks on videotape. Well, you just see him in old videos, basically. So it's a really a unique movie experience, I felt. And, it's so short, and yet I felt like I was on quite a ride because I was so worried about the dog. And of course, the dog, mostly through the movie, is the only one that sees the monster. And, whether or not it's an actual monster is up to debate, I think. And that's the great thing about it, too. So there is some question about whether or not the movie is what you're seeing or if it's all a metaphor for what happens at the end. Yeah. So I would recommend this. Now, some people might, if you're like a hardcore normie, and you just want, a rip-roaring, jump scare sort of thing, yeah, this movie isn't for you. But if you want a different kind of horror experience, I think, and if you love dogs, you'll be at the edge of your seat, I think, like I was. So here's, all right, so that's the non-spoiler review. So we get into the spoilers. Spoilers ahoy. All right, so first act, Indy is a dog and his master is Todd, and Todd is having problems, and it turns out he is sick. So he ends up going to the hospital, and when he gets out, and the great thing about the movie too is, like I said, they never really show you Todd's face. Not really. So when Todd gets out of the hospital, he decides he's going to move into his late grandfather's house with Indy. So kind of against the wishes of his sister, who realizes he's very sick. So he moves in with Indy, and Indy instantly senses some sort of presence in the house, and or senses something's wrong. So once you get to the end, you kind of realize that it could have been an actual presence, but it could have also been the sense that Indy had for his master's sickness that he wasn't really taking care of. So they live in the house for a little while, and you get to know that the grandfather was also very sick, and they go into a graveyard, and Todd says something like, yeah, all my ancestors are here, 4 or 5 generations, but they all died early. I think he says something like that, which seems to indicate that instead of it being an entity, it's actually that his family has some sort of hereditary disease, and each generation has died. Now, the grandfather was much older when he died than, Todd, but, could have just been the luck of the draw, I guess. But the grandfather, too, died of, he was spitting up blood when he died, and Todd was, too. At the end, he dies. So, in the second act, Indy is experiencing all sorts of stress. He's seeing stuff in the house, and he keeps hearing barking, ghost barking. He even meets a ghost dog, which he takes him on a trip to give him clues, basically. And that was really neat, too. And, Todd is not privy to any of this. In one of the big scenes late in the movie, so the whole second act is, Indy trying to warn Todd, kind of, but, Todd's just getting sicker, and he's not doing the smart thing. Eventually, he goes to the doctors, and they say, wow, you waited too long, and now we can't really help you. And he gets mad. But then in the third act, the entity really comes after Todd, and Indy has to fight his way back against the entity and into the house. And that's a great scene, because when he finally gets to the cross space, or the Bilko doors that enter into the basement, he sees why the old dog whimpering was there, and I guess the grandfather locked the dog in the basement, or got stuck there, and that's where it died. So he finds the dog's body, which is kind of a scary scene, because you got to think, wow, the dog must see that and go, ooh. But he sort of overcomes it and jumps over the skeleton to try to save Todd. And Todd at first had locked him outside because Indy had bit him, because I think he was possessed by Indy thought he was possessed by the evil entity, if in fact there was an evil entity, or maybe he just got mad at him and bit him or something, or maybe stepped on his tail, I don't know. But it could have been the metaphor for the sickness, Indy senses the sickness, and he's trying to help him, but he can't really. And it all culminates with Todd being taken away by the evil entity, and Indy chasing him all the way into the basement, where Todd is being dragged by that entity. And he can't save Todd. And Todd is covered by the black inky gook, that the entity is made from. And Todd basically says, "You can't help me. You got to let me go." And but Todd's body is actually upstairs, because you see a shot of that. And then Todd's sister shows up, and there's a moment where Indy can go at the sister, but then he hears somebody calling him back into the basement. So it's like a metaphor whether or not Indy's gonna follow his master into death, I guess. And instead he crawls out of the basement and continues to live his doggy life. So it was really unique, I felt. I'd never seen a movie like this. And I thought Indy was pretty expressive. More expressive than some of the actors I've seen in some of these trailers. Man, I saw one today. American Warrior. Yeah, Indy would have been better in that role. So yeah, it's a really neat and really tough screenplay to shoot, because obviously Indy can't talk, and so you have to sort of glean everything from the other characters. And there's only 3 characters in the movie. It's Todd, Vera, well, the grandfather's 4, and the this local hunter, who may have also been played by Todd. I'm not sure. But you never really see any of the actors other than the grandfather on the videotape. And that was interesting to me, because I don't think it was so much from Indy's perspective as it was like, you're really focused on the dog because it's shot that way. So I liked it. And plus it was 74 minutes. It feels like a full movie, though. Oddly enough. The ending I feel is a bit student filmy, if that makes any sense, but I liked it. I kind of liked it. I liked that, it's sort of sad that Todd has to die, but Todd's kind of an a-hole in the middle of the movie to Indy, so, not that he deserves it, but like, you just kind of accept that Todd has to die. But Indy doesn't die. Thank God Indy doesn't die. Because if that dog had died, I would have freaked the F out. That would have been the worst movie ever made. I hear that the filmmaker is trying to submit Indy for an Oscar, an animal Oscar, which would be very interesting, because there's not a lot of competition in that category, typically in Hollywood, if there's any at all, which could mean that he could win. And I kind of think he deserves it. There's really some great scenes with Indy looking at things and, being scared and being, he doesn't really growl a lot, I notice. He kind of whimpers more than he growls, but yeah, I kind of liked it a lot. Just I like the difference of it. Maybe I've seen too many movies. I just like something that's finally like, it's different, it's just not the same old stupid ghost movie. So yeah, check out Good Boy. I watched it on Amazon. Out of 1 to 10, I don't know, I give it like an 8, I think. But I love dogs, and you didn't hurt this dog, so that's good. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan, my dog. Check us out on the green site, the orange site, and the black site for more videos. I will be in East Hampton, New Jersey, at historic Smithville Park today from 1 to 6, selling my wares, selling my books, and hopefully not getting blown away by the wind. Last 2 times I was here, it was windy as F, but hopefully this time it is not, and it should be a nice day. It is going to be a little chilly. However, there's going to be lots of stuff to do for the kids, lots of stuff to do in the park. I had a great time last time. Looking forward to a great time when you see this today. So see ya at East Hampton, and we'll see you